I think the real change we need to bring is inclusion, vitality and diversity. Those are the three words that need to kind of change the magnitude of how society portrays people who have disability in the wider community. And another thing that needs to be fixed up is discrimination and vilification within certain spectrums in society, and how they can help people with disability to be their own person and not be pigeonholed in a outdated stereotype.
Thank you.
Equality. Equality is one of the most important things in our society, and particularly for Australia, it's what we're focused on mostly. And being able to actually have the chance to go to the same schools, universities, to gain the same education, works, jobs, opportunities, that is what I really want us to have.
I joined the youth group because I felt there were a lot of issues around the place in regards to young people with disabilities that weren't being addressed. And I felt that the youth group would be a great way to help address those issues, to help bring some change about the place and to help improve people's lives, like especially with young people with disabilities.
I think I would want more broad representation across all quarters of the disability community. That includes those with intellectual, physical, psychological, and other multiple disabilities that aren't focused and aren't portrayed in other councils or committees in either level of government or within any non-government organisation. I would like to see Julia Farr Youth go beyond of what it is we actually give to the actual indicators, that we're there to make a difference, or we're there to influence the community to know what is the accurate, legit image of a person who has a disability. I like to see that a person with disability is just that, a person, a human being, just a normal biological construct of what most parents will want to see when they are born and when they hold them in their arms for the first time. That's what they should have. That is the possession they should have for any child or any person, for any creed or any ethnicity, any other kind of characteristics that makes that makes them them.
I think it's really important that young people in themselves know that their opinion matters, and that it actually can go somewhere, and yeah, it does matter in itself. Like, don't feel like you're the only one going through something, and because when you're feeling like you're alone, it really does feel like you're alone. You're the only person going through that, and 9 out of 10 times it's not true. There are like a lot of people that are having the same feelings that you are, and the same concerns that you are, and speaking up about those things can help you a lot. And in this instance, it doesn't just help yourself, it helps others, and that's the idea. Is
I do know that the voice of a person with disability is a real commodity which is not previously used in when governments introduce new legislations, when you draft new policies, or where you create or architect a new disability strategic blueprint of what they can do to make them more accommodating and more accessible to public places.
Sometimes the experience can be that some organisations and even government committees especially can be sometimes a little bit reluctant to have sort of a community representation or a young person on those committees and have that voice, and that's definitely something that we're wanting to break down and make it more of a regular thing, and make it, you know, that we actually have a lot to say and have a lot to give to the community as well.
I also see that breaking down stereotypes or false portrayals of disability is another vital ingredient in making sure that the disability community is heard in a thorough manner and given the real opportunity to speak how they weren't able to speak more than 30 or 30 years or 3 decades ago. It's about knowing that we can give an opinion, we can write about problems that are occurring in our lives, we can even narrate our own journeys or everything that happens when we are at home or at school or at university or at work. We can put them into another context which someone who is able-bodied isn't able to do. I feel that Julia Farr Youth can really go a long way in kind of providing a real vibrant service that really tells that a person with disability will be heard, they will be taken care of, and they will be they'll be accommodated to any issues or problems that they've been confronted with. I would like to know 3 things that we motivate, we advocate, and we consult on any issue that affects a person with disability, and it's up to every individual who come to us, who come to the store, Julia Farr, and asks about the youth group and knows what we do.
So I was the first sort of mentee-mentor relationship within the mentor program, and I catch up with somebody that has a similar disability to myself. So like I said, it's a peer-to-peer mentoring program. So I'm slightly older than him, and he has a similar disability to myself, and we sort of tailor what him and his family want to get out of the mentor program with discussions with him and his family. So one of the things that I have been doing for a while now is actually going into his school, because he's in high school at the moment, and sort of seeing how he sort of interacts in his classroom and while he's at school, to sort of assist with those friendship networks and things like that, and sort of not necessarily like do anything as such while I'm there, just sort of observe and give some pointers along the wayside while those things are happening, and sort of give him some pointers when we do catch up, sort of one-on-one, sort of talk about what I've observed and give him some pointers that way.
Anyone else?
Assigned a mentee, or might be the 2nd or 3rd mentor, to acquire a young person to actually help them kind of familiarise what it is they want to be, or how they would like to be helped in their fragile years, which is adolescence. I'm currently mentoring a 14-year-old boy with Asperger's syndrome who lives in the outer southern suburbs, and I had about 3 sessions, and what I kind of collaborated from those times is this kid has got a bright future ahead of him. He's bright, has a high intellect, and I think that he can do a lot. So if I can get to know him a bit more, know how he is in certain environments at school or at home, or even in public places such as the train station, the shopping centre, or the parklands, I would like to create a real emphasis of Asperger's or autism is seen within the public procession and has gone through wider society. And going back to the previous question I asked about how one of my goals is to change the focus of like human discrimination, disability, stigmatization, and make it out that we are equally human. We are the same as you. Anyone who's able-bodied can have the opportunities and the choices that people with disabilities were not being able to have. And what I hope to give to my mentee, is to know that he wants to have something he can wish, he can strive, he can train, he can earn the required foundations that he needs to be where he wants to be. So what I hope to get out from my mentee in the next couple of years is to help him combat instances of bullying and to build up his self-esteem, kind of like where he'll be able to make good friends and to build a solid network where he to know who he can turn to, who he can socialise, and who he can build a much more stable relationship.
Yeah, well, when I got sick, it was a bit alienating because my friends didn't really understand what it was like for me. They were only young, obviously themselves. I was 14 when I got sick. And the school I was at the time tried to be understanding, but I think because I didn't look sick when I was at school, some of the teachers would accuse me of things like wagging school and sort of making out that I was sick when I wasn't really, which was a bit hard.
I would love to see changes with the young people in nursing homes. I would love to get them out into a younger community because there are things like, almost half of them will get visits maybe less than once a year from their friends, and maybe about 34% of them might, or will never be hardly involved in any sort of activities just within the community. 21% barely go outside once a month, and there are those sort of things that I would love to get changed in the community. I recently spent some time in a rehab centre, and I only spent about 2 weeks there, but that was a very depressing time for me because majority of people there were about 50 or 60 years my senior, and so most of the time I spent was in my room because I didn't really want to go out and associate with them because there was nothing that I could relate to them with. So I couldn't really have a conversation with them because we have nothing similar, nothing in common at all. And yeah, it was a very sad, depressing time. So now that I've sort of experienced that, only a very small amount of that, and then I definitely even now want to get that change more now, so that young people won't be in nursing homes anymore.
I think probably maybe a bit more support for young people living on their own in the community. So just in practical ways as well, like so you don't feel like you're having to always, or young people with disability don't feel like they're always having to lean on their families.
Yes, if we get a personal budget and they get allocated to certain services that can be for medical, welfare, health, I would really would like the government to give enough so each client can have money to really live out and be able to look after themselves and not be very dependable on their parents. One of the most important recommendations I made during the consultation process of the NDIS was having independent affordability, and for people with disabilities who become adults who surpass the 12 to 25 age ratio to have the kind of skills and the actual the backing back in necessities to go and live a full independent life. Because one of the worst concessions about Generation Y is we live at home and we don't move out into the world, we don't spread our wings, we're stuck in the nest right until our early to mid-30s because of the circumstances of the property market, the employment sector, and with the GFC, the global financial crisis, caused a huge blow to the way our financial expenditures are dispensed to make sure we have a sustainable budget to use when we can be able to move out of home and get our own rental flat or a shared house. So one thing I'd like to get out of the NDIS is to have a personal budget and more like a planning initiatives where you can consult with a care worker in the government department to know what kind of resources or services you'll need when you move out of home or when you have to transition from being under parental supervision to living virtually on your own. So, and then finally setting up the foundations of where you're going to live. So that's another initial problem that can be solved under the NDIS, and I think it's a good prevalence that the Labor government is finally focusing on the disability community, and it's way overdue that more money is being given towards, one of the most underfunded, unreliable, underpaid sectors within Western society.
I think it would have a huge impact on people's lives in the sense that it's giving the power back to the person that sort of knows what they need or want to do with their life. I mean, my feeling is that we'd still need people from the industry to let us know what services and things like that are available to us and what would be best for us to work with our life, whatever it may be. But the ultimate goal would be giving that power back, saying, I've done my research, I've done what I need to do, I know what I need to do to get it, and now I can go and get it instead of waiting on a waiting list for 2+ years. I have a lot of goals for the future, I guess. My immediate goals is to sort of finish my studies. I've been doing a lot of work with youth work, and also around the education that goes into youth work, because sort of as youth work stands now, it actually has no disability focused units within those courses, and I'm actually working with a lot of my lecturers on actually getting that as a core unit, or at least a an elective within that, to actually, because I think young people with disability is sort of lacking when it comes to youth work. I really hope that it's something that carries on for many years to come. Just that I hope that once people sort of see how we operate, and even though we are speaking about some really sort of strong issues and things like that, that we actually have fun while doing it, and actually have a lot of fun and learn to sort of advocate for ourselves and sort of make our lives better, and be positive about it as well.